got some exciting news to share to mark International Archives Day with the launch of a new website to complement Alan Ayckbourn's official website. I'm Alan Ayckbourn's archivist Simon Murgatroyd, and I'm delighted to announce the launch of Around Town, a website celebrating the contributions Theatre and Around, Stephen Joseph and Alan Ayckbourn have made to the cultural heritage and history of the town of Scarborough. I'm passionate about this subject, and this is an opportunity for me to share more than 2 decades worth of research into an aspect of Scarborough's history which is undeniably crucial to its cultural development in the latter half of the 20th century. The website, which will continue to expand in the months and years to come, consists of almost 1,000 pages and focuses on the period between 1955 and 2009, from the introduction of Theatre and Around to Scarborough by Stephen Joseph to the time when Stephen's protege, Alan Ayckbourn, stepped down as artistic director of the company. Within its pages, you can find out about the town, the Theatre and Around venues, the history and the people involved through these 5 decades. For the first time, there's an in-depth chronology of Theatre and Around's first 55 years, alongside photographs, designs, articles and other information on the subject. It's come about because Theatre and Around, I feel, has made a huge contribution to the town of Scarborough in North Yorkshire and has had an undeniable impact on it. As a result of Stephen Joseph coming to the town in 1955, Scarborough can lay claim to being the birthplace of professional theatre and around in the UK, with the creation of the country's first professional theatre and around company. It can also justifiably argue it is home to the longest established professional new writing company in the UK. It has been promoting and producing new writing continuously since 1955. Generally, we regard London's Royal Court Theatre as holding this position, but that did not start producing new work until 1956, the year after Theatre and Around at the Library Theatre had opened. Over the next 5 decades, more than 300 new plays would be produced in Scarborough, more than half the output of the company. More than 90 writers had their work premiered in the town during this period, many making their professional debut. Writers include Torben Betts, Vanessa Brooks, Ben Brown, David Campton, Michael Cashman, Lisa Evans, Tim Firth, John Godber, Vicky Ireland, Stephen Malachat, Sarah Phelps, James Saunders, Robert Shearman, Mike Stott, Nick Warburton and, of course, Alan Ayckbourn. And the contribution of the latter to the town is immeasurable. When Stephen Joseph died in 1967, by all rights, Theatre and Around in Scarborough should have gradually come to a close. But in 1972, Alan Ayckbourn took up the reins and guided the company for the next 37 years. This was an extraordinary decision. At the time, Alan Ayckbourn was on the cusp of becoming one of the most successful British playwrights of the time. His plays were huge, award-winning successes in the West End and were performed extensively throughout the UK and Europe. He was a genuine theatre superstar during the 1970s and 1980s and could have gone anywhere. He chose to commit himself to Scarborough, to regional theatre, and to championing all that his mentor Stephen Joseph had started in the town. For 4 decades he would run the company and would bring international attention and acclaim to both it and Scarborough. It's no understatement to say that by the 1990s, Alan Ayckbourn and Scarborough were synonymous around the world. This international reputation, which hits its peak during the 1980s and 1990s, brought cultural recognition of Scarborough that otherwise it's hard to imagine it would have received during this period. And it's not only writers who have made their start in Scarborough. There have been many actors who have begun their professional careers here. The Olivier, BAFTA and Emmy award-winning actress Jodie Comer made her professional stage debut in Scarborough. Other actors who made early career appearances with the company over the decades include Amanda Abbington, Mark Addy, Annette Badland, Tom Baker, Emma Chambers, Janie Dee, Peter Forbes, Martin Freeman, Adam Godley, David Harewood, John Nettles, Leslie Nichol, Tamsin Outhwaite, Claire Skinner and Leah Williams, amongst many others. And of course there's Stephen Joseph himself, the theatre pioneer who would be hugely influential on British theatre design and thinking despite his early death in 1967 at the age of 46 in Scarborough, where much of his most important work on theatre design would be completed. Theatre in the Round has made an indelible impact on Scarborough since 1955 and continues to do so to this day with the Stephen Joseph Theatre, a vital part of the town's community and a cultural venue which attracts thousands of people to the town annually and contributes substantially to the local economy. Around Town celebrates and explores all this rich history. It goes back to 1955 and how Stephen Joseph, at a loss as to where to promote his radical theatre ideas, finds himself on the North Yorkshire coast in a seaside town and creates something extraordinary which even he did not expect to survive past a couple of years. The website explores Stephen and how Theatre in the Round developed in the town, the challenge it faced and how it thrived in 3 homes: Theatre in the Round at the Library Theatre, the Stephen Joseph Theatre in the Round and, where we find it today, the Stephen Joseph Theatre, or the SJT. It looks at significant plays produced between 1955 and 2009 as well as the people associated with them. And there's not only the website. In the coming months I'll be doing talks around Scarborough about Theatre in the Round and the cultural heritage of Scarborough, as well as producing more videos, articles for the 8bomb blog and expanding the site. In the future I'll be adding an extensive section to Around Town, looking at the many locations in Scarborough where Theatre in the Round venues were proposed or considered over the decades. I hope Around Town offers an insight into just how much Theatre in the Round has contributed to Scarborough over the decades, how much of what had begun in Scarborough has gone so much further into the world, be it Stephen Joseph's ideas, the plays that were premiered here, or the people who have worked in the town. But most of all, I hope Around Town celebrates the cultural heritage and history of Scarborough and highlights the significance of Theatre in the Round, Stephen Joseph and Alan Ayckbourn to the town. I hope you enjoy visiting the site. Thanks for supporting both it and Alan Ayckbourn's official website, as well as this YouTube channel. Please subscribe and I'll be back soon with more on Theatre in the Round and Alan Ayckbourn.